Hi there, good evening. I'm sorry, but to begin with, you're going to have to endure some pictures of Everest from the other side. Um, this evening, I'm going to talk to you about something which affects all of our lives in many different forms, which some people see as a hindrance, and other people see as a challenge, something which we should embrace. Now, to be honest, I think that it's a bit of both, but I think the most important thing is how we choose to overcome it. So this evening I'm going to speak to you a little bit about risk. Now, through that I'm going to speak a little bit about some of the adventures that my climbing partner, my expedition partner, my best friend Rob and I have had over the last few years, which include climbing Everest when we were 19 and then to go on to do an expedition from the geomagnetic North Pole to the magnetic South Pole using only human and natural power. But because we've got such a short time, I'm going to have to skip over little bits here and there and hopefully make it interesting. So really the first type of risk which I'm going to talk about is environmental risk, so risk which comes from the world around us and which we can't control. Now, the first time which Rob and I came into contact with this was through training for Everest, through our climbing trips. So obviously mountaineering, it's things like rockfall, like avalanche. When you get higher up on the mountain, things like altitude sickness. So that was really where we first experienced it. But then moving on into the Arctic, we had these different dangers, mainly to do with the cold, with the thin sea ice. And in fact, there was one day where we were dog sledding along, and Rob dropped a glove off the side of his sled. It was much warmer day than usual, maybe minus 15 or minus 20 instead of minus 60, which it had been. And so Rob got off his sled to pick up his glove, and as he bent down to pick it up, the ice cracked beneath his feet. And he fell through into the Arctic Ocean beneath, which, because of the salt content, is about minus 2 degrees centigrade. And he knocked his head on a piece of glacial ice on the way in. I saw this happen from about 300 meters away on a different dog sled, and I stopped my dog sled, ran back to try and help him. But it must have taken me about 4 minutes or so to get back to him through knee-deep slushy snow. And I spread myself out on the ice, I pulled him out, got him onto the side, and I could see that he was blue. He wasn't breathing very well. He had a very weak pulse, and I was very worried. So the first thing I did was rip off all his clothes, and that's not just because I'm a pervert. It's also because it's the most sensible thing you can do. That the wet clothes wick the heat away a lot faster than not wearing anything at all. At least that's what I told him afterwards. The second type of risk, which I'm going to talk about, is social risk. Now, this, if you travel to different parts of the world, you experience different cultures, different places, and different ways of doing things, and it's very important that you understand these and that you respect them. Otherwise, it can very quickly lead to problems. Whilst Rob and I were cycling through the Americas, we found that in North America we had obviously motorists abusing us. We came up against Hell's Angels who threatened us with guns. Through Central America, people warned us of the dangers of gangsters or people that might want to kidnap us. From Panama to Ecuador, where there was risk of pirates. But through all these dangers, one of the things which we found, which is a common theme this evening, is that you meet some amazing people with the most incredible hospitality and generosity. People whose lives have been destroyed by earthquakes, for instance, in South America, who they had nothing. They had every reason in the world to be negative about their lives, to be upset, to be down, and yet for some reason they had that positivity and that strength of mind to continue. And that's incredibly inspirational when you put it in context. Naturally, all you're doing is an expedition. Finally, the last type of risk which I'm going to talk to you about is a mental risk, and really that's the risk of fear and the risk of I suppose turning back, not wanting to carry on. I'm not sure what the best way to describe it is, but it is just fear, and it's deciding that you can't do something because you're too scared and panicking. And the aspect which I came up first against this was on Everest. It was when we came across a body of a guy we'd met, become friends with, who had died on the ridge. And that was a real shock for us and something for us to deal with on the way to the summit. And it wasn't very welcome and took a lot of strength of mind to overcome. But I suppose the most relevant story for me is we were in the Southern Ocean and a massive storm blew up. We had waves which were 70 or 80 feet high, winds of 60 or 70 knots. And all of a sudden, a set of massive waves came through. The first knocked the boat off course, and the second, as we steered against it, caused the steering to snap, and we went careering down the front of this wave, ending up side on to the next wave that came through. Now at this stage, I must have panicked because I suddenly thought, oh, I have to go and fix this, even though it would have taken a couple of hours. So I ran down the boat to try and get some tools. And as this happened, I looked up and saw another 70 or 80 foot wave. This one was curling over on top of the boat. And so I made a quick decision, and I knew that all I could do was try and grab onto this pole in front of me. So I grabbed on for dear life and watched this wave come down into the side of the boat. It sent the boat toppling sideways, and it turned completely upside down. There was water going everywhere. I was hanging in midair, and it went completely pitch black. And it went on for what seemed like an eternity before finally the keel came into action. The boat popped back up. And really, through panic, I'd put myself in a much worse situation. And so this is that kind of that mental risk which you can't let yourself succumb to. Now, after this expedition, Rob and I, we came back to the UK, and last year we were on a climbing holiday to the Alps. Me and Rob and a couple of other friends. And Rob and another friend of mine fell on a climb in the Alps, and they both died. And so really this subject of risk is particularly pertinent to me. Rob knew the risks that he was undertaking, and yet he chose to do that because he knew that by taking risks, it would enrich his life. And so I suppose really my message this evening is that we shouldn't fear risk. We shouldn't see it as a hindrance. We should see it as something which improves our quality of life, which gives us more excitement, and it's something which we should embrace and try and overcome. Now, I think I'm finishing a little bit early. I've got another slide left. I have noticed, I've been timing these talks and found out that they're actually going on for 15 seconds longer than they should be. So really, that's my message. All go away this evening and don't be afraid to try and attempt your dreams. Risk is something which we can be trained to overcome. Thank you very much.